Welcome back. On this President's Day, hundreds took to the state capitol for the third time in a month to protest the Trump administration and what they're calling, quote, undemocratic action.
Thousands of government workers reeling from the chaos of the Trump-Musk effect and its aggressive effort to shrink the federal workforce.
Yeah, what's your goal with all this? What are you trying to accomplish here?
Well, lots of things. I'm old and I'm white. However, having been brought up by 5 very powerful, beautiful women in my life, I believe that a woman's right to her body is sacrosanct and cannot be legislated. Cannot be legislated. There are some things that the big government, the feds, have to do. The roads and commodes, we used to call it in the Air Force.
I think the biggest thing we need to learn from this is we need democracy in the workplace to counteract the authoritarianism that has now taken our government. Because through Elon's ability to control wealth and finance, as well as other billionaires, they're able to leverage their financial power to take over control of our government. So just as oligarchies of old, even feudal societies, once the power of authoritarian government as well as finance are coincided in one national interest, it's just devastation for people who live under that government. So we need to fundamentally rock the system by uprooting our authoritarian system of work with democracy in the workplace.
What do you think people should do to attempt to, whether it be avoid radicalization or seek it out?
Right. I mean, I feel like what radicalizes most people is honestly just like what's going on. Like, there's never been a period in time where all 50 states have managed to get together and protest all at the same time, and that's a big thing, a major turn in history. But the best way you can educate yourself, honestly, is not looking at our media and our news sources, but everybody else's in the world, because they are showing exactly what's happening without bias.
Another thing is federal government is boring. I was in federal government for years doing launch support at Vandenberg and at out here in Florida, and it's a bunch of boring people doing boring stuff. That's what makes government work. It's not about celebrities. When you see a celebrity up there, you can just about bet that we're heading for trouble.
This is not soon enough, and we've never really introduced us on this channel, not formally. We're comedians, so we don't normally do this. I mean, we read a fair bit of radical literature, but we are not activists. We felt a responsibility when we went to the protest. Our goal was to purely document everything and be neutral, like a real journalist. But that is really fucking hard. People are scared. People feel unheard.
We're the Denver Boulder branch of the Revolutionary Communists of America, and we have chapters all over the country and all over the world. We're in most major U.S. cities and in more than 70 countries all over the world, and we want to overthrow capitalism in our lifetimes because we feel like capitalism is the primary problem that causes pretty much every social problem in the world, as well as every environmental problem in the world. And it's just not sustainable.
Do you believe doing that peacefully is the way? Or?
I think that it can be. Yeah. The idea here of the industrial workers of the world is that through workplace solidarity and direct action, workers can remanage our workplaces from the ground up without having to take violent means. Because also, we can't fight the Pentagon. That's just uncredible.
Right.
That's kind of my philosophy about this, and that's why I'm here today.
Keep your hands off my Social Security, my Medicare, and my Medicaid. My wife and I are both highly productive in our lives. We're in our 70s. We're both on Social Security. If they yank our Social Security or steal it or put it in Elon Musk's bank account, I'll have to go out and get a job, and I don't even know if I can do that anymore, guys. I don't even know if I can do that anymore. So I'm the plainest person that you're going to interview, but I am the people, and there's thousands of them out there like it that deserve our love and our trust and our assistance.
I don't think it was all completely negative. We also saw a large amount of community, people helping each other, I also feel that I saw a large amount of subversive politics that are not commonly shown within the mainstream. Or, if they are showing it to you in a radicalized way. I don't think they were radical. Or if they were, it didn't seem to matter. Hesitant, but well-meaning. We saw a large amount of class diversity. I mean, for fuck's sake, the senator was there. But that's not what people were protesting. They were protesting policy. I saw a large amount of solidarity, which is a discussion that I feel is not very commonly discussed.
Is there anything that personally motivates you?
I mean, there's so many things specifically, but the biggest thing that's the biggest motivator for me right now is the stuff that's happening actively, like the innocent people that are getting sent to Guantanamo Bay, which once you cross that line, you lose all of your rights that you had in America. So you have no rights to legal custody. You can't call nobody. You're just cut off completely. I actually believe we already had an oligarchy before Trump. I believe that the ruling class has controlled politics in this country for at least the last 40 years.
You're discussing the bipartisan system, you're saying?
Under neoliberal capitalism, which, pretty much from we had a brief kind of social democratic experiment with the New Deal in the 1950s. And ever since then, really more since like the 1970s, we've been moving straight into neoliberalism, which has basically enriched the ruling class and corrupted the democratic system. So I think we lost our democracy a long time ago because we have basically ruling class politics where the bourgeoisie controls both parties, and the ruling class is, a transnational ruling class. It's actually bigger than any nation, and so we have, companies and like the military-industrial complex that basically control governments and make decisions about who goes to war and what the military profits are going to be, and all of that is not democratic at all whatsoever.
What is your opinion on Doge literally being created to prevent unions from forming, and sort of Elon's oversight in he seemingly has a hard-on fighting unions?
I mean, that's originally what his political shift came from. He believed the Democrats were the party of direct action lawyers, of union lawyers, and anti-free speech. And that's kind of in 2020 was a shift towards the alt-right. So I think fundamentally his interest with controlling our government and having a lot of financial power in it, he controls the federal budget, or at least he wants to, and he has contracts with the government and the military. That's deranged. I think it's fully self-interested. He wants to serve his interests financially and socially as a whole. He openly speaks about what he wants. He's like a big birth rate. He complains about it a lot.
Yeah. He just had his 13th child.
Yeah. So he's openly complained that we need people to be less educated, to have less workplace democracy, and be more religious so that we can have a higher birth rate. That's like, he directly just states that that's his goal, and that's what he's trying to do for our government.
I'm against Trump illegally offering the federal employees a total break, right? 7 months off and off you go. It's not legal. Trump cannot be in the Treasury looking at my information.
At the protest, there are a large amount of phrases that are not commonly understood. So I thought, to be clear and concise, I would quickly explain some. Fascism. A simple definition of fascism is a way of organizing a society in which a government ruled by a dictator controls the lives of people, and in which people are not allowed to disagree with the government. This system is authoritarian. Liberalism, to put it simply, is a political philosophy based on the belief in progress and stressing the essential goodness of the human race, freedom for the individual from arbitrary authority, and the protection and promotion of political and civil liberties. It is also based upon the foundation of private property and one's right to it. An oligarchy, in a few words, is when a large group of individuals that are hoarding wealth are capable of completely controlling the state. Another expression that was commonly thrown around was class consciousness. In the current zeitgeist, this word is coming up a lot, and I feel like it's important that we explain what this means. It's not just simply understanding that there is a lower, middle, and higher class. It is understanding that the system of oppression is a system of capitalism. Class consciousness is the understanding of that system of oppression. Neoliberalism, I don't know how to say this in a non-radical way.
Do you think most people know what Guantanamo Bay is? Like,
No.
could you explain for the camera what Guantanamo Bay is?
Oh yeah. So if you didn't know, actually it was like '93 is when we finally shut Guantanamo Bay down. But the U.S. used to house it was Haitian immigrants there after the Haiti War, I believe it was. But we tortured and starved and did not provide the medical necessities to those people, and we basically just left them there.
On international grounds.
On international grounds, and it basically, because it wasn't in American territory, they were allowed to do whatever they wanted. Trump is, an authoritarian. I think he wants to be a fascist. I don't think that we necessarily have all the conditions in this country ripe for fascism at this point, but he's definitely trying to move in that direction and overturn, what's left of democratic institutions, for sure.
So I've been organizing with the industrial workers of the world since, COVID, more or less. We believe that workplace democracy, as well as radical shop floor activism in terms of strikes and other actions, are the ways for workers to show power in the workplace. So we need a strong militant labor movement that's willing to show opposition to the bosses directly, instead of long legal negotiation, which often snubs workers at their best possibility, which is on the shop floor.
And I guess for my other question within that is, do you believe that the importance of education within the American education system, and different things that people don't know that socialists were involved with, like free lunch programs and certain things like that it seems that the Trump administration is directly trying to fight against, like removing free lunch programs,
Absolutely.
removing different things of Social Security that essentially
Absolutely.
protect the lower class of America.
Absolutely.
So I guess
And I think the Democrats did a lot of the same thing,
Yes.
but without the media coverage.
I think as a whole, our government has been motivated, especially since the neoliberal revolution with Reagan, to serve the interests of private capital more than any other group. But we're seeing a resurgence of that, where the state itself can be seized by authoritarian purpose to also benefit big profit holders, national profit holders, not even the international, wealthy community. Because of sanctions and all this bullshit, that's just going to devastate our local economy, but allows them to consolidate and have more power and leverage over the workers here in America.
do you think that when it comes to the freedom of expression, the first right and everything, people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk seem to be free speech warriors, but then also own their own press, whether that be X or Truth Social. So do you believe that the process of controlling education and press is part of, as you're describing, them attempting to have, class manipulation?
Sure. I mean, this is also seen with, back in the day with Reagan, he purposely disincentivize college to be affordable and accessible to working class people, because he believed that an educated working class would be the downfall of American capital. We're seeing the same thing with Trump and also all of these tech oligarchs with their leverage over social media and our way of communicating in a modern era. So their main focus is to consolidate finance on their cloud capital systems and have leverage over how we communicate with each other. So if there's something that's dissident or they don't agree with, they can shut it down. Such as with TikTok being unbanned technically, but Gaza being fundamentally banned from being spoken about.
It's just bullshit. Pardon my French, but it's hideous bullshit. We think it might be end times. It might be Armageddon's right over the hill. We're heading for the end times. So I'm getting right with the Lord, and I have to get straight. We're full of fear. Old folks are full of fear. Yeah. We did our best for you guys, and now it's yours. And I want to know what you're going to do. What are you guys going to do?
I think the direction that we're going with the current sitting president is very scary, and I do believe that people need to educate themselves more on exactly what's happening, because I do fear that the general public is massively uneducated. A lot of people lost their health care coverage under Biden. There were a lot of, he had this Build Back Better plan that actually never materialized. It was supposed to do all these different things socially, but then he ended up negotiating all his power away with Joe Manchin and passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a completely stripped down version of the Build Back Better plan, and so much so that by the end of the day, it was basically a Republican agenda. It had a lot of giveaways to big oil and big pharma in it, and did basically nothing. So I think what's happened is that because the Democrats have failed to be an opposition party, they have paved the way for this moment. They have paved the way for Trumpism, and they've paved the way because people are so upset that they don't come out and vote even for Democrats because they're suffering economically, because they haven't had a decent paycheck in decades, and they're looking for someone to blame.
Feeling alone. I'm watching MSNBC. I try to watch Fox News, but they're a bunch of fascist assholes. I'm sorry. I'm not going to listen to them anymore. Every time I turn around, they're rooting for this guy. And Congress, shame on you. Shame, shame, shame on supporting this fascist bastard.